My name is Molly Underwood. I'm 42, a chief financial officer who keeps her success quiet. That New Year's Eve countdown party in Detroit was supposed to be about family bonding. Then my brother splashed red wine across my dress and declared, "That outfit ruins the family's elegance." The whole room burst into laughter. Dad chuckled, "Tate's just teasing." Mom said nothing. I looked down at my $8,000 custom silk gown now ruined and said, "Then the money and the investment stop here." By the next morning, his little empire had collapsed, all because of a single glass of wine. Tate's startup had been running for 2 years on a mysterious cash flow, and he'd never once asked where the money came from. Subscribe now to see how one glass of wine can bring down an entire empire overnight. The party rolled on with the usual bragging session. Tate stood at the center of the circle, phone in hand, scrolling through mock-ups of his app. Series A closes next quarter, he declared, voice booming over the music. Valuation hits 50 million easy. Investors are begging. Dad leaned forward in his chair, eyes shining like Tate had just won the lottery. "That's my boy, the family legacy carrier." He clapped Tate on the back hard enough to jolt him. "Always knew you'd make us proud. Blood runs thick." I sipped my water from the edge of the group, watching the scene unfold. Tate had been Dad's golden child since we were kids. When I graduated top of my finance class at 22, Dad nodded once and said, "Good. Now help your brother with his ideas." Tate dropped out sophomore year to chase dreams, and Dad funded the first prototype himself, $10,000 from the savings meant for my master's. Tate turned to me, then smirked sharp. "Speaking of looks, Molly, that dress is a bit much. Don't you think we're a modest family?" Flashy stuff screams, trying too hard. A few cousins chuckled. Dad waved it off with a grin. "She can afford it, I guess." "Tate's right, though, keep it understated. Fits our image." Mom nodded faintly beside him, saying nothing as always. She had stopped defending me years ago after Dad made it clear the house revolved around the son who would carry the name. Tate got the bigger room, the new car at 16, the emergency loans disguised as gifts. I learned early to fund my own path, no complaints. Tate kept going, fueled by the attention. App launches in beta next month. Tracks, prayer times, diet plans, community donations all in one. Muslim markets untapped goldmine. He flashed the screen again. Logos sleek and professional. Board loves the pitch. One more round and we're public. Dad beamed wider. "See visionary." I told him back in high school, skip the books, build something real. He shot me a quick glance, the kind that said my corporate job was just paperwork, not legacy. I set my glass down, fingers steady. Tate's confidence filled the room, but I noticed the details others missed: the way he refreshed his email every 30 seconds, the slight tremor when he mentioned the board. The app looked polished, sure, but polish costs money, and the last wire transfer had gone out quietly from an account he never questioned. Dad raised his cup. "To Tate, the future of Underwood." Everyone echoed, clinking plastic. Tate soaked it in, chest puffed. "Dad gets it. Family first, right?" He turned back to me, eyes narrowing playfully. "Seriously, Molly, tone it down next time. We don't need Hollywood here." The group laughed again, louder this time. Dad joined in, slapping the table. "She's always been the dramatic one. Remember prom? Borrowed my tie for a speech contest." I smiled thinly, letting the dig slide. Inside, the pattern locked into place, same as every holiday, every milestone. Tate proposed wild schemes. Dad bankrolled and praised. I cleaned up the numbers behind the scenes, invisible. Tate pocketed his phone, satisfied. "Anyway, big announcement coming. Stay tuned." He winked at Dad, who nodded like a proud coach. The music shifted to the countdown warm-up track. Lights dimmed for the projector screen. Tate moved to the front, ready to lead the toast. Dad followed, close arm around his shoulders. Mom trailed behind, eyes on the floor. I stayed where I was, cataloging every word, every gesture. The favoritism wasn't new, but tonight it carried weight. Tate's empire rested on foundations he assumed were rock solid. He had no idea how fragile they really were. The room buzzed with excitement for the new year, oblivious to the shift already in motion. Tate grabbed the microphone, voice echoing. 10 minutes to midnight, folks. Dad cheered loudest. I watched silent, the observer in my own family story. As the countdown clock hit 10 minutes, Tate reached across the table for another glass. His elbow bumped my arm, deliberate, and the red wine splashed straight across my lap. The liquid soaked through the silk, instantly spreading like a dark stain. He burst out laughing, loud and unapologetic. Whoops! Guess the dress needed a color upgrade. The table exploded in chuckles. Dad wiped his eyes, grinning wide. Classic Tate move. Just a fun accident, lighten up everyone. Cousins joined in, one snapping a photo on her phone. Molly, you look like you sat in grape juice. Budget brand. Another added, yeah, who wears designer to a family thing anyway? Mom glanced over briefly, then turned back to her plate without a word. Tate leaned in closer, still smirling. Come on, sis. It's hilarious. Matches your over-the-top vibe tonight. I stood slowly, the fabric clinging cold against my skin. The laughter kept rolling, Dad slapping Tate's shoulder. Boy's got timing. Remember when he pranked the neighbors with fake snow? Tate nodded, milking the moment. Exactly. Harmless fun. Molly's always so uptight about her fancy clothes. The group fed off it, voices overlapping. She probably bought it on sale. Nah, looks rented. Dad chimed in again. Let it go, honey. Tate didn't mean harm. I pulled out my phone, angled the camera down, and snapped 3 quick shots of the damaged close-ups of the ruined hem, the label inside the wine, pooling on the floor. Tate noticed, frown flickering. What are you doing? Evidence for insurance. More laughs. I locked the screen and met his eyes. You've been running on my $2 million in seed funding for 2 years, Tate. Every quarter wired anonymously. I'm the silent partner you bragged about never meeting. The room went dead quiet. Tate's face drained of color, mouth open mid-laugh. What? No way. The board said it was a community grant fund. Dad shifted in his seat, confusion creasing his brow. Molly, what are you talking about? Tate earned that investment fair and square. I ignored him, focusing on Tate. Check your bank statements. The routing number traces back to my holding company. 2 years of runway, server costs, developer salaries, all me. Tate fumbled for his phone, thumbs shaking as he opened the app. This can't. The transfers were labeled Underwood Family Trust. Exactly, I said. My trust. Not Dad's. Not some mosque donation drive. A cousin whispered, 2 million. That's insane. Another, she's bluffing. But Tate scrolled faster, face paling with each entry. Dad leaned over his shoulder. Let me see. This has to be a mistake. Tate's voice cracked. It's the same account. Every time. Molly, why didn't you say anything? The countdown timer beeped on the screen overhead, 8 minutes left. I stepped back from the table, wine dripping from my fingers. Because you never asked. You assumed it was easy money like everything else Dad handed you. Dad stood up now, voice rising. Hold on. If this is true, you've been bankrolling your brother behind my back. That's not how family works. Tate stared at me, shock turning to anger. You set this up. Made me look like a genius while pulling strings. I grabbed my coat from the chair. No strings tonight. You just cut them yourself. The laughter had vanished completely. Mom finally spoke soft. Molly, sit down. It's almost midnight. I shook my head. Enjoy the countdown without me. Tate reached out as I turned. Wait. We need to talk about this. Dad blocked my path slightly. Yeah, explain yourself. 2 million. You owe us details. I sidestepped him. Details come with respect. You lost that option. Phone stayed out, but no one snapped pictures now. The projector flickered with the ball drop preview ignored. Tate slumped back into his seat, still scrolling through old transfers. "This changes everything," Dad muttered, ungrateful. "After all I've done to build him up." I walked toward the exit heels, clicking on the floor. The stain on my dress felt heavier with each step, but my mind was clear. Tate's shock lingered in the air behind me, the first crack in his perfect night. The door swung open to the cold Detroit air. I didn't look back. Back at my apartment, I fired up the laptop on the kitchen counter. The wine-stained dress hung over a chair, dripping onto the tile, but I ignored it. My fingers flew across the keys, logging into the secure portal for the holding company. Casey Quinn, my investment advisor for the past decade, had access to everything. I drafted the email fast, subject line, blunt, immediate withdrawal. Underwood Appseed. Body pull the full $2 million effective now. Revoke all future commitments. No explanations needed. I attached the incorporation docs showing my sole ownership of the anonymous entity, the one Tate had thanked publicly, as our generous community backers. Hit send. The reply pinged in under 2 minutes. Casey confirmed. Transferring control to escrow freeze. Account locked. Wire reversal starts at market open. I leaned back, exhaling. The portal dashboard showed the balance dropping in real time. Server credits paused. Payroll queue halted. Tate's team would wake up to red flags across the board. He still believed the money flowed from a mosque community fund, some collective pot Dad had bragged about pulling strings for. Tate never dug deeper. Why question free fuel? The quarterly deposits arrived like clockwork, labeled neutrally, routed through layers I designed myself. Casey sent a follow-up board notification drafted, "They'll demand answers." I typed back, "Let them. My name stays off everything public." She responded with a thumbs-up emoji, then, "Done. You sure about burning this bridge positive?" I closed the chat and opened the transaction history. 2 years of outflows stared back: initial $50,000 for MVP build, another $200 for user acquisition, $500,000 on marketing pushes. Tate scaled fast, hiring devs, renting co-working space in downtown Detroit, flying to pitch conferences. Each expense approved silently from my end. The last transfer 3 weeks ago covered holiday bonuses for his 20-person team. Tate posted on LinkedIn, grateful for our anonymous angels keeping the lights on. Dad commented below, "Proud of my son's hustle." I archived the thread. Casey's final message, "Freeze complete. No reversals without your sign-off." Screenshot saved. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the fridge. I poured a glass of water, no ice, and reviewed the holding company bylaws. Clause 7.2, investor withdrawal at discretion. No notice required for seed stage. Tate had signed the term sheet himself, skimming past the fine print in excitement. His lawyer, a friend of Dad's, had waved it through. Standard boilerplate, he'd said. Tate trusted family connections. I pulled up the cap table next. My entity held 40% equity, diluted only slightly by the angel round Tate thought he closed independently. The community fund was me alone, no cosigners, no committee. Casey emailed a PDF official revocation letter, time-stamped. "Send to Tate if you want, or I can blind copy the board. Hold for now." The clock read 1:15 a.m. Market open in 8 hours meant banks would process the recall by noon. Tate's CFO, some kid fresh from business school, would flag the shortfall first, then panic up the chain. I thought about the app itself. Solid metrics, growing user base in the Midwest Muslim communities, partnerships with local imams for endorsements. Tate had vision, I'd give him that. But vision without capital evaporates. Another ping from Casey payroll processor alerted. "They'll bounce checks Monday if no top-up." Perfect. I stood stretched and carried the laptop to the bedroom. The dress could wait for dry cleaning. The real cleanup started digitally. Tate's empire balanced on my ledger, and I just yanked the support beam. He'd piece it together soon enough, the routing codes, the timing, the sudden silence from donors. Dad would rage about betrayal, but the contracts were ironclad, my tracks covered through offshore entities and NDAs. Casey's last note. Anything else tonight? Monitor reactions. Forward, nothing identifiable. Roger. I shut the lid. The city lights flickered outside the window. New Year's fireworks long faded. Tate partied on Clueless while his runway shrank to zero. The community fund he toasted earlier, a ghost I controlled. Sleep wasn't coming yet. I opened a new spreadsheet modeling fallout scenarios: staff, Exodus vendor lawsuits, IP fire sale. Tate's $50 million valuation would crater by week's end. The numbers didn't lie. Neither did I. The phone rang at 2 a.m, shattering the silence. Tate's name flashed on the screen. I let it ring twice before answering. Molly, what the hell did you do? His voice cracked, breathless. Payroll's frozen. The bank flagged every outgoing transfer. We're short for next week's salaries. I sat up in bed, switching on the lamp. You'll manage. Hargrove just texted he's pulling his commitment if we miss one cycle. The whole Series A collapses. Mr. Hargrove, the lead investor Tate courted for months, had promised bridge financing. Without my seed steady, his threat carried weight. Tate kept talking, words tumbling. The CFO called an emergency audit. Vendors are emailing about unpaid invoices. This hits at midnight. I listened, voice calm. Timing's everything. He paused, breathing hard. You said $2 million was yours? Prove it. Undo whatever you triggered. Dad's voice cut in from the background, muffled but angry. Put her on speaker, son. Molly, this is sabotage. You're ruining your brother's life work. Tate complied. Dad boomed closer. I raised you better. Tate's building something for all of us. Pull the plug now and you destroy the family name. I gripped the phone tighter. The family name? You mean the one you pinned on Tate since he was 10, the science fair trophy you displayed while my debate awards gathered dust in the garage. Dad scoffed. Debate doesn't pay bills. Tate's app employs people, serves the community. Your jealousy ends tonight. Tate jumped back in. Jealousy. She admits funding us. Molly bridged the gap. One more wire and we stabilize. No. Hargrove's name pinged on Tate's end, a new message. Tate read aloud, panic rising. Funds on hold until proof of liquidity. Board vote tomorrow. He's copying the entire cap table. Dad growled. See what you started, fix it, Molly. Transfer whatever's needed. I stood pacing the room. Remember college? Tate partied through finals. You paid the retake fees. I worked doubles at the lab, earned scholarships. You called it Tate needing a break. That was different, Dad snapped. He's the entrepreneur. You chose the safe route. Safe? I laughed sharply. I built the portfolio that seeded his genius. Every risk calculation, every quiet infusion, you credited his charm. Tate interrupted. Charm got us users. Your money just sat there. My tone iced. It paid your cloud bills when signups dipped, covered the rebrand after the beta crash. You celebrated milestones on my dime, never wondering why no strings attached. Dad's voice softened, manipulative. Family helps family. Tate's your blood. One call to your advisor, problem solved. Casey won't budge without my word. And my word is final. Tate's breathing turned ragged. Developers will quit by morning. We lose momentum, competitors swoop in. Hargrove's out, others follow. Let them. Dad exploded. Ungrateful, I gave Tate the confidence to dream big. You always playing it small, hoarding your success. I stopped pacing. Hoarding, I funded his dream anonymously so you could keep praising him without knowing the source. Your favoritism blinded you both. Tate whispered something to Dad, then louder. What if we restructure? Give you equity credit publicly. Too late, Hargrove texted again. Tate read, emergency meeting 8 a.m. Need runway proof or I walk? Dad grabbed the phone. Molly, listen. Tate's mortgage, the office lease, all tied to this. You want him homeless? Your choice to co-sign his loans, not mine, Tate pleaded. Sis, please. One extension. I recalled the party, his smirk, the splash, the laughs. You mocked my dress, my effort. Now face the splash back, Dad yelled. This isn't you. Think of Mom, she's heartbroken. Mom watched silently, same as always. Tate's voice broke. I'll apologize. Publicly. Whatever it takes. Apologies don't refill accounts. The line crackled with their heavy breaths. Hargrove's deadline loomed. Dad tried one last angle. We're blood. Blood forgives. Blood also learns consequences. I ended the call. The screen went dark. I set it face down, heart steady. Morning light filtered through the blinds when Grandma Evelyn called. Her voice steady at 92 cut through the haze. Molly, dear, I heard whispers last night. You stood your ground. I cradled the phone, coffee steaming beside me. I did, Grandma. The wine incident was the last straw. She chuckled softly. Good. That boy needed a wake-up. Your mother filled me in, Richard's fuming, Tate's scrambling. Don't you dare back down. Her support anchored me. Grandma Evelyn had always seen through the favoritism, slipping me encouragement cards during Dad's endless Tate praise sessions. You're the strong one, she'd say. Build quietly. They'll notice eventually. I won't soften, I assured her. The funds are gone. Smart girl. Let consequences teach what words never could. I'm proud. We talked longer about her garden plans, my next investment moves. She ended with call anytime. You're not alone. The line clicked off. My inbox exploded next. Tate had scheduled an emergency Zoom at 9 sharp. Invitation forwarded by Casey, all hands, liquidity crisis. I joined, muted camera off, observer mode. Tate's face filled the main square eyes, bloodshot. His team devs, marketers, the young CFO looked shell-shocked. Folks, Tate started, voice strained. Our primary backer vanished overnight. Payroll bounces Tuesday without resolution. Murmurs erupted. A developer unmuted. Servers shut down mid-cycle. Tate nodded. Exactly. Hargrove's on the line, let's hear him. Hargrove appeared, tie loose background, a home office. Tate, I sympathized with growth pains, but this. No warning, no reserves. My firm can't risk exposure. We're out, effective immediately. The chat scrolled frantic. Tate leaned forward. We have metrics, user retention up 30%. Bridge us 2 months. Hargrove shook his head. Metrics don't pay staff. Due diligence showed stable seed. Now it's smoke. Withdrawal clause triggered, my hands tied. A marketer asked alternatives, crowdfunding too slow, Tate admitted. Vendors demand upfront now. Hargrove's box vanished with a ping, official exit. The CFO pulled up slides, cash burn chart plummeting to 0 in days. We lay off half by Friday or fold completely. Tate rubbed his temples. Options, silence. One by one, cameras winked off, resignations implied. Tate ended the call abruptly. Updates soon. My phone buzzed instantly. Dad's voice note time-stamped minutes after Zoom. I played it on speaker. Molly, this is your father. Tate just briefed me the meeting was a disaster. Hargrove bailed because of your stunt. Developers jumping ship. You've crippled him. He paused, breath heavy. I always pushed Tate harder because he needed direction. You sailed easy with brains. But this cruel? He's your brother carrying our legacy. Reinstate the money. Prove you care about family over pride. Another note followed. Think of the employees. Innocent jobs lost. Your actions ripple. Fix it before bankruptcy filings. I deleted both. Grandma's words echoed stronger. Tate's Zoom replayed in my mind, the defeat in his slump, the team's defection. Hargrove's withdrawal sealed the domino. Casey emailed, Zoom leaked to board channel. Panic selling equity, whispers already. I replied, monitor. No intervention. Dad sent a third voice note. Mom's crying. Tate hasn't slept. You win, happy. Call me. Ignored. The day unfolded with more fallout alerts. Tate's LinkedIn went dark, no damage control post. Local business chat groups buzzed. Underwood app circling drain. Grandma texted a heart emoji. Stay the course. I brewed another coffee watching the city stir below. Tate's empire cracked wide open in hours. Dad's notes piled up, each more pleading, more biased. Tate's the visionary. Your support. Support no longer. Hargrove's formal letter arrived via Casey partnership dissolved. No further obligations. Tate tried calling twice, voicemail full. His texts. Meeting didn't go well. Need talk. Blocked temporarily. Grandma called again midday. Heard the investor fled. Well done, natural order. We laughed quietly. She shared a story from my childhood, dad skipping my graduation for Tate's game, her secret celebration dinner with me. Always knew you'd rise above. Her faith fueled mine. The Zoom wreckage, Hargrove's exit, dad's desperate notes all validated the cut. Evening approached. Tate's silence grew ominous. By Monday morning, the filings hit public record. Chapter 7 Bankruptcy for Underwood App, LLC liquidation ordered. Casey forwarded the court docket, assets seized, operations ceased. I scanned the document over breakfast. Tate's signature trembled on the petition dated emergency over the weekend. Creditors lined up, server providers, office landlord, marketing agencies. The $2 million hole gaped wide. News alerts pinged. Local Detroit Business Journal, promising Muslim lifestyle app. Folds amid funding vanish. Comments speculated fraud, bad management. Tate's photo from a conference last month looked optimistic in hindsight. Bank statements arrived via secure link from Casey. Tate's personal accounts drained for company shortfalls, overdraft fees stacking. The mortgage lender flagged delinquency, foreclosure notice mailed. His SUV leased under business expense repossessed from the driveway at dawn. I blocked Tate's number first. His last text unread. Lawyer says we can fight this. Deleted thread. Dad's calls routed straight to voicemail, full after 20 messages. I cleared them all, then blocked him too. Mom's single attempt, a missed call, joined the list. Permanent silence. Grandma Evelyn remained open. Her text mid-morning saw the headlines. You okay? I replied. Better than ever. She called minutes later. Tate showed up here, suitcase in hand, Richard trailing, yelling about lawsuits. I sent them away. Her loyalty warmed me. Grandma had watched the imbalance for decades, countering Dad's bias with quiet gifts, college fund boosts, career advice ignored by others. Favoritism breeds entitlement, she said now. Tate learned nothing until the floor dropped. Court-appointed trustee emailed schedules, auction of office furniture, Wednesday code repository sale pending. Hargrove's firm scooped IP scraps for pennies per Casey's update. Tate's house went into pre-foreclosure. Realtor signs staked the lawn by noon, bank expedited. Neighbors whispered as movers hauled boxes. His luxury watch collection boasted at family dinners liquidated online for debts. I opened social media. Tate's profile scrubbed clean, no posts since New Year's. Dad's unchanged old photo with Tate at graduation caption. My pride. Grandma shared more over lunch call. Richard blames you publicly at the mosque. Says you stole Tate's future. Community nods along until bills come due. Let them. Casey reported final tallies, staff severance, minimal unemployment claims filed. Tate's resume circulated quietly, junior roles only. No takers yet. Eviction notice for the co-working space posted. Keys surrendered. Tate spotted at a cheap motel off the highway per anonymous tip in business forums. I walked to the window, city bustling below. The empire Tate built on my unseen foundation crumbled to dust. Dad's constant elevation created a prince unprepared for reality. Grandma texted a photo, her garden blooming early. Life renews. Yours too. I kept the thread active, our lifeline. Tate's desperate email bounced, address blocked. Dad tried LinkedIn family meeting. Mandatory. Ignored. Bankruptcy judge sealed the case. Tate's credit ruined for years, foreclosure on record. Car title transferred to repo lot. The lesson crystallized as I closed the laptop. Favoritism breeds ingratitude. Dad poured praise into Tate, shielding him from failure's bite. I enabled anonymously hoping growth. The wine splash exposed the rot. Cutting ties protected my peace. Tate faced mirrors, now his choices, his mockery. Dad confronted empty pedestals. Mom stayed sidelined as always. Grandma ended our call with wisdom. You taught accountability. Harsh but necessary. Weeks blurred into routine. Tate's name faded from feeds. Dad's voice notes stopped. Mom never tried again. I thrived in the quiet. New investments flowed no family strings. Grandma visited monthly, sharing stories of resilience. Tate's downfall became cautionary in startup circles. Never assume silent backers stay forever. Favoritism births ungrateful heirs. I severed the cycle. No reconciliation, no regret. The end.